All right, James, here's another book. Now, this is a book that was commissioned by someone, I believe. I don't remember exactly who. Thriving in Bad Places. You say that, now the first book you had, The Fighting Edge, that's where I discovered you, right?
Yes.
You said, like, this is like sort of like after much more writing experience, this is the book you would rather have written for The Fighting Edge, or you would say this is like the updated Fighting Edge.
Uh, yes, I did an experiment where I rewrote the scene where I got beat up by Jim Burkett and Mike Quintavalli when they were trying to kill me in the supermarket because I caught them stealing. I rewrote that from memory because I wanted to compare my memory with the other one. And I figured leave it up to the reader to see whether my younger memory or my older memory was better on it. This was article by article commissioned by a man, I forget his name, who had a website that was singletraveldude.com, and it was for guys traveling by themselves overseas, largely to get laid. So obviously these nerds are going to need a little bit of awareness in case they end up on the wrong side of the street in Thailand and they pissed off somebody.
Oh, guys,
So
it's like the worst place to piss people off.
where the Fighting Edge was about how to learn how to fight, this was mostly how to size up somebody as to whether or not how dangerous they would be, and also to kind of place yourself in the violent hierarchy at a glance and see where you fit in, and then ways to develop and improve your fighting ability and your survivability.
This is like outside of a sporting context, a fight is always a lose proposition. Yeah, it is. Like Peyton Quinn was saying that too. It's like, you're really not gonna win. You're really not gonna win.
Cops and media use the term fight to actually invalidate self-defense situations.
Yes.
The worst one was in Denver. 14 men attacked 2 teenagers that were on skateboards and seriously injured one of them. And the police that I saw interviewed and the local news actually called it a fight. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a pit. You want, unless you're talking about boxing or MMA or stick fighting or something, you never want to use the term fight for anything you do. One, it's wrong to use it in the context of sparring because you're trying to do work and you're trying to develop your time and measure. And it's illegal suicide to use it in the context of self-defense.
I like the you meant in here. You also your door jam or mukjang stuff was mentioned, right? Also, I like the idea of looking at a guy's hands. Obviously, when the guy's looking back and forth, I've done that. Where you look back and forth, that's not a good sign.
The door jam touch drills. That's an attempt to self-teach time and measure for somebody who doesn't have sparring partners.
Right.
Which is the main thing you get out of sparring. The secondary thing is rhythm. But time and measure, which is actually crosses over with rhythm, is the main thing that you get from sparring, is knowing without calling a halt and breaking out a tape measure, and calling in the referee, just like knowing that he can hit me or I can hit him now.
Also, it's interesting you have here the idea of probably it's better for, obviously the street. I hate that term. The leading with your right hand. So you and Bruce Lee, the Dao Jeet Kune Do agree that a right lead is probably better for the all around whatever you could face. So
his theory was that you want to lead with the closest weapon because you want the closest weapon to be the most powerful. Which was taking a karate idea of the one strike, one kill and applying it to Kung Fu. So that was a real crossover move. As a boxing coach, I like the right hand lead because it imparts an advantage to the weaker party, and you will have been sized up generally as being the weaker party if you're being attacked. So it gives the small guy a chance.
Yeah.
And in a weapon situation, you don't have your heart right up front, and you don't have the ascending aorta right up front in case he's got a blade. It's at least back there. He's got to reach a little bit
Just
farther.
since I became an adult, I never got attacked by one guy. I was always a bunch of dudes. So, and I like the idea, which I've done too, stepping into the road. Right, if you have more than one guy after you, go into the road. Because now you're adding third. Yeah, I don't want to say even witnesses. You're adding the idea of like dodging cars coming at you. So, which is nice. It's sort of like getting into like I don't know. Yeah, this is pretty good. I'm trying to see what else. The idea of the measuring hand, right? The lead hand, the fence, the check hand, right? Yeah, this is pretty much a good distillation of sort of what I guess LaFond's final ideas of these things would be. Although you could argue that things are always changing. Do you think that maybe at some point something else might be? I know that's a kind of a...
And the fighting stuff that I did after this book is mostly they're compilations where they'll have a section in it for each type of fighting, and then it'll have a self-defense survival section. And it was, for the most part, Q&A from readers and from fighters that I worked with. This is one of the last actually concept fighting books that I did. It was originally done in a series of articles, but there was a clear concept I was giving by the editor, which is an advantage of working for an editor, because he'll actually give you a clear vision. This is what I want. A guy that's going to a seedy area that just needs that to have more awareness, and maybe only is going to be able to prepare himself for trouble in his hotel room after reading the article on my website before he goes to meet the girl in Bogota.
Okay.
How can we help the guy right now? So this isn't like as much of a like how to build yourself as a fighter like my first book was.
Just real quick, who was in Colombia and walked around and was okay and had a good time? Arkham Reporter was in Colombia. That's what he told me. So I don't know if it was Bogota or Medellin or one of those places. Everyone forgets that there was a low intensity war there for like 30 years that America was engaged in. People forget. So I don't know how it is now over there, but anyway, all right. So this was a cool book. This is a nice distillation of getting out of like the MMA idea of this and that. How you sort of put it all together. When you're dealing with unknown variables, which you will have if you go to if you go to your own the city in your own damn country.
The title, Thriving in Bad Places, I was criticized for by some of my readers, saying that there's no way to thrive in a bad place, you could just survive. That's a materialistic view of it. You're not going to have a great mansion house in a really crappy place, but some of my best psychological experiences have been in some of the worst physical spaces I've been in. You can thrive in the moment, and you can feel good about it when you're done because you didn't hand over your wallet and you just walked away with your autonomy in place.
Yeah, I agree with that. I ain't never handed over my wallet. I don't care. Hey, all right, tough guy. Relax.